Good evening, everybody. This is JP Hrisoulas, the Cranky Old Bastard, with my 100th video. Yep, I'm at 100. I am amazed that I made it this long. Anyway, I've been getting quite a few questions and other, requests as to why I wrote my 3 books. As I said before, I started doing this when I was a kid, and there was nothing out there as far as any information goes, as far as custom knife making goes. There was, a few custom knife makers out there, namely the ones that come to mind are Bob Lovelace and Dalton Holder, and a few others. And we can thank Mr. Lovelace for bringing the custom knife making industry into being. He was one of the original movers and shakers. Him, Bo Hickory, Bill Skagel, going way back, a few others, but those names just come to mind. So I stumbled around a lot while I'm trying to learn this, and luckily I had a decent, well, more than decent, a wonderful mentor, teacher, instructor by Mr. Hoffman. Herr Hoffman was a fantastic man, hard-working soul, salt of the earth man, Amish, hard work, and just his wife was a gem. She was a wonderful woman, and he showed me a lot. So as the years went by, I went from middle school to high school into the service first time. I was popping around all over the world and went here, went there, went everywhere else. Yep, joined the Army, see the world, put back with a 2.5 ton truck. But anyway, whenever I got some chances, I would, find out where the locals were. If there's any metal workers in the area, I'd go over and ask questions and watch them and try to get some sort of information out of them. And when I got out of the service, again, I started, dabbling in this when I became a Fed. All the time, I was still playing with blacksmithing, knife making, etc. And I got to the point where I was starting to ask some really good questions, and I was getting some feedback, some really nasty feedback, because for some reason the people that were doing this didn't want me to learn anything, and they actually sort of misled me in a couple things. It's a nice way of saying they lied. I really had this problem when I was a kid, when I was in my mid-teens, before I went in the service the first time, where they wouldn't take me seriously because, hey, a 16, 17-year-old kid, what do they know? They don't know what they're going to do. And I made a promise to myself then, and again, when I got out of the service, that if I ever figured out this whole mess to a point where I'm comfortable, I would do something like write a book or something along those lines. And I did. In 1987, I finished the manuscript for the Complete Bladesmith, and I shopped it around for quite a few places, and I never got a rejection notice. Never got a rejection. I kept thinking, if we don't print this kind of book, but if we did, we'd print yours. We suggest you try this, people. You suggest the same thing over and over again. This is a good manuscript. We'd print it, but we don't print those kind of books. So, out of the blue, I picked up a copy of Soldier of Fortune magazine, and in there was a thing for Paladin Press saying they want manuscripts on weapon-related stuff. Now, Paladin Press was run by Peter Lund and his wife, and he was in partners with Robert Brown on Soldier of Fortune magazine for a while. Then they had a falling out. I don't want to get into that. And Soldier of Fortune went on their way. But Peter Lund made a whole bunch of money printing Army, Navy, and Air Force training manuals, reprinting them. And so I sent them the manuscript, and it wasn't even a week later I said, yes, we'll print it. And here it is, the Complete Bladesmith. Very, very, very old book, going on 40 years now. It's been made into a required reading list, same with the other two. I never thought when I wrote the book that it would get that popular, but you never know what's going to happen until you know, and then it's too late, But I broke a lot of ground on that book. and I caught a lot of flack from it. Some of these so-called established makers, they took it to personal that I divulged secrets and everything else. And there's no secrets in any of this stuff. This is old age tech. Come on, you know. Now, I will keep some things from people that I know how to do that I don't want to show anybody else because, one, they're not safe. And I don't want to be responsible for somebody getting killed or messed up. Like mercury gilding, for instance. I've done it. I won't do it again. I did it for research. It's too hazardous because you're boiling off mercury. And anybody who has any kind of wits about them at all, knows anything about chemistry, you do not want to mess with mercury because mercury poisoning is a hideous way to die. You get Hatter's disease and you quietly go crazy and everything shuts down and it's just nasty. But the first book covers steels, grinding, heat treating, leatherwork, Japanese blades, pattern welding, wire wrap grips, fittings, scrimshaw, Japanese heat treating, all the stuff like that. Nice book. And this will keep you busy for quite a long time. And I enjoyed this, enjoyed writing it. And I got a lot of positive feedback for it. And you never know how your writing is being accepted or anything, because you very seldom hear anything like that. But every now and then I get somebody said, I got your book and it's great. I got this question or that question. If anybody has any question on any of my books, please just, get a hold of me. I'm in the book, as they say. I'm on the internet, www.atar.com. But this book here will follow you, let's keep you busy about 5-6 years. There's even some pictures on here on the back from a couple pieces from my good friend Jody Sampson. May he rest in peace. He was a fantastic artist. The next book went into a little bit more detail. This came out in 1991. That's the Master Bladesmith. Here again, Paladin Press. They published it. And there's a picture of me as a frost giant in the back. Here, let's see about that. That's my still here on the roof of the EA. It's more detail oriented as far as blade designs, recurved blades, a little more on pattern welding, a little more on pattern on broadswords. This I would say is a journeyman level book. This will keep you busy for another 5 to 6 years on that. So I'm talking about 10-year investment time-wise for these first 2 books. And here again, it got very well accepted, and it wasn't that badly negatively impacting me as a person as far as what people were saying about me being a rat bastard and a traitor and everything else. But hell with them. Hell with them. Nobody's told me about any secret handshakes, and the only price I put on showing somebody how to do this, unless I take my classes, but if you just want to learn a technique, is that you show somebody else the same thing that I showed you with your improvements to it, and make them do the same thing that they show somebody else. This way we keep the art alive. I mean, we got to keep new eyes in this. We got to keep more people involved, because if we don't, it's going to die. And like it or not, there's more resurgence in this from that hideous show Forge and Fire, which I cannot stand for numerous reasons, but then that's not for this one here. But we got to keep this art alive, because for a while there, back in the 70s and early 80s, it was getting ready to die. But luckily that's changed. There are a lot more people picking this up, whether it's a serious endeavor, whether it's just somebody just goofing off, hitting something with a hammer and making a knife-like product out of it. I love it. Knife-like object, or a SLO sword-like object, or using the ASO anvil-shaped object to hammer things on. But we got to keep it growing. That's why I wrote the first 2 books. Then my publisher Pater said, "You got a book in you?" I'm thinking, yeah, I think I do. So then I wrote this one. It came out in 94? Yeah, 94. The Pattern Welded Blade. This book here, as a couple people said, I spilled the beans on pattern welding in this book. This was the first one ever published that dealt primarily with just pattern welding for blades. Whether it's a knife, sword, axe, spear, whatever. It's the first one published. Here again, it was published by Paladin Press. Peter Lund, you know, loved my books. He passed a few years back, and Paladin Press went belly up. And the sad thing is, I had to find a publisher, and I found one with old Frank Red at F. Red Ink and or the Film Press. They're both the same person. He treated me right. He's been really good about not pressuring me too much. Like my fourth book finished, which is so close to being done, it's not even funny. But this book here, Pattern Welded Blade, this will make you crazy. Once this stuff, especially pattern welding, once it gets in your blood, it's addictive. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, because once you start doing this, it's all over. It's you're toast. It's an all-consuming passion. It is such a thrill to work hours and hours and hours on a pattern, have failure after failure after failure, or this go wrong or that go wrong, and to get that one piece for that one pattern for work. You'll never forget that. You'll never forget the first pattern welded blade you make that actually works the way you want it to. And believe me, that is such a refreshing thing to have happen. It is such a relief, a catharsis to say, I finally did it, you know. And now with more interest in the crucible stuff, on the woods, jahwar, no bandand, or whatever they like to call it, bulat, that's in book 4. Book 4 is, I got book 4 right here. Right here, here's book 4. And that's going to be a decent book. But all in all, taken as a whole, these 3 books, the Complete Bladesmith, the Master Bladesmith, and the Pattern Welded Blade, have been considered textbooks, required reading, for doing this. And it's very humbling to have somebody say, hey, I learned this from your book, I learned that from your book, I learned this, that, and over there. It makes me feel good knowing that I've had some worth with what I'm writing. Like I said before, you never know how your writing is going to be received and whether people get anything out of it or not, because you just don't, you're not there. And very seldom does somebody come up, you know, to you and say, hey, I read your books, I saw your videos, thank you so much. My wife hates you because now I'm spending my money on tools. You know, it makes you feel good, because it means I didn't fail. I mean, I got what I wanted to do. I got the word out there, and I'm not a young man anymore. I'm going to be, you know, I'm in my 70s now. You know, scary. And here we are going into 2026, and you know, I'm making a living forging out swords. There's something wrong there. I wouldn't say wrong. It's just something anachronistic to it. But when you start doing this, I mean, keep good notes. If you have something that you're proud of, you want to show somebody, show them, you know, but don't throw it away if somebody isn't serious, because that way you get burned out. I mean, what's the old thing? What's you say, pearls before swine, or something like that? I'm not so much of my Christian scriptures, I guess, but didn't the Christian Christ say something about pearls before swine? In other words, don't throw something worth them before somebody doesn't appreciate it, or beauty's in the eye of the beholder, or something like that. I don't know, but that's the gist of it. You know, I'm very open as far as doing this stuff. It's like I said, it's not rocket science. It can be very frustrating. It could be also very rewarding, and most of the time it's sort of in between. I mean, you know, I'm out there, you know, swinging a hammer, heat treating, tempering, grinding. I hate grinding. But it's all going to be done, and just keep doing it. Just keep at it. Work your way through the problems. If you make a mistake, chalk it up, brush yourself off, continue to do so. I mean, I had that one blade crack on me and it came in half. You know, I made a video on that. There's no such thing as a failure until you stop trying. As Edison said, that plagiarist said, you know, I never had a failure. I found out thousands of ways that didn't work. And it's something that you have to grow with. Continue adding to your skill set. You know, I would like to learn how to engrave. I can't do it. I can't. My hands don't work that way. I'd love to see it. I'd love to be able to do it, but I can't. It's physically incapable. But I appreciate the beauty of it. Some of these engravers are amazing. I knew a couple of really good ones. One, the best one I met was Gary Blanchard. He had a engraver shop in Las Vegas for a while, and he retired and got out of it. I heard he passed, which is a shame. It's like my dear friend Bob Egnath. He was one of the most fantastic scrim shanders. I would say when he was actively working, he was probably the finest traditional black and white scrim shander in the world during his lifetime. His black and white work looked like a photograph. Exquisite work. He did several pieces for me. God rest him. When he passed, I was just devastated. But he was always active. I actually got him ready. I actually had him doing his own heat treat for those Japanese blades he was doing. I actually helped him set up that Johnson gas forge. They dropped on my foot. Went and got it down in California. But that was before I moved to Nevada. And he and Stevie and his son Kurt, they were good people. And both Bob and Stevie passed, and Kurt is doing okay. I spoke with him about a year or so ago, and he's still hanging in there. He's up in New York, I do believe. I got his phone number around here somewhere. I think I could get a call. But you've got to keep going in this. You've got to learn as much as you can, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And listen to people. If you're showing somebody how to do something, and they come up with a question, and you're thinking, hey, maybe that'll work right, so give it a try. I mean, there's no harm in it. And I am the worst plagiarist there is as far as information goes. I mean, I'm worse than Milton Berle stealing jokes. I mean, I went to a couple of knife shows, and I asked him, how'd you do this? And he goes, why should I tell you? Because you'll just put it in a book. And I go, yeah, you're right, I would. But I'll give you credit. I always give people credit. Let's give credit what credit's due. It's called respect, and that's what we need more of in this world. But keep your eyes and ears open to new stuff, and especially add to your skill sets. Learn how to do earth file work. Learn how to do some jewelry work. Silver solder. Learn how to weld. I can't gas weld. I can't arc weld, but I can sure as hell forge weld real well. I can silver solder okay, but gas welding, I'm all right. And arc welding, TIG, MIG, I just don't have the touch. I'm just too heavy-handed. These meat hooks of mine aren't that fine-tuned anymore. I think I used to play violin until I blew my hand up, which was kind of stupid. But what they say, you don't know till you know, and then it's too late. And when you're at a certain age, you consider yourself immortal and nothing happened to you. And that's what happened to me in my violin playing career. But that was long time ago. And now I play a hammer and tongs. And I can beat a pretty good tune out on anvil if I want to. But stay with it. Here again, I'm going to tell you, it's an all-consuming passion. If you have that fire in your belly, and that hunger in your heart, and that longing in your soul to create something with hammer, fire, and tongs, to learn the riddle of steel, to hear it sing to you on the anvil, to hear that ring, to feel it move to your will, to create something that was basically just a lump of steel, and turn it into something useful, and if you're lucky, something beautiful. That would be the best thing. And that's creation. And when you do something like that, it gives you a bit of immortality. Because these blades that I'm making, they're going to last a lot longer than I do. And there's an old saying that as long as a man's name is being spoken, he never truly passes. He never truly dies. And if that's the case, all these swords, knives, and other stuff I made, I'm immortal. In a way. I mean, people be, mentioning my name, and hopefully they're not going to be spitting afterwards. But when I look down from heaven, or look up from the other place, maybe I'll see what I did, what kind of impact I have, because I really don't know. I know I made some good on this, And I've done some for the industry, but you know, to what extent? I know my books are still being read because they're still being sold, and I still get a lot of information back from them, and a lot of people saying, hey, I really like your books. But keep at it. You know, my books are not the be-all, end-all of them. They're a good beginning. That's what I wrote them for. Take my techniques, adapt them. Take my techniques, add to them, change them to your own. You know, become your own maker. Don't copy me. Don't copy anybody else. But do it your own way, because that's the way it should be. Everybody creates their own ideas, and everybody has their own thoughts and philosophies. And mine is, you know, you just go ahead and do it. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, pick up the hammer and tongs again, and go back at it. Keep at it till you learn it. You know, you just got to be able to finish up, and hopefully, as I said before, make something that's useful. Because the most beautiful knife in the world, if it can't cut, isn't a knife. And the ugliest knife in the world, if it cuts, to me, is a beautiful knife. And if you have both the cutting and the, you know, the aesthetic value of beauty, you've got it made. You know, so make what I call an honest knife. Actually, Bob Lovelace came up with the term honest knife. And, you know, that's, you think about it, that's all you can ask for, is make an honest blade. And put yourself into it. Do your best work as much as you can, every time you can, because that way you improve. And if something doesn't work, work out till it works. Or try something else. But don't get discouraged, that's all I have to say to that. Well, anyway, this was a long video. It's my 100th video. Say again, if you got something out of this discussion, with me ranting on and on and on and droning in my monotone voice, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Have a wonderful night. We're going into 2026. May the wise Lord, Mazda, bless you and your family. Whatever holidays you celebrate this time of year, I hope they're joyous and prosperous for the next year. No matter what god or goddesses you pray to, or choose not to, or just have a hell of a party, I hope you have a wonderful time. Stay safe, stay warm, and thank you so much for allowing me into your home. And may Mazda bless you. Good night.